Hi, this is Naomi with Sword and Steel, and we have got the Adepta Sororitas Codex. Now, if you did not notice the length of time this video takes and you do not want to follow with me to the end, then in the description below is basically the nutshell of Adepta Sororitas Codex. So, go enjoy that instead. Catch you in the next video. For those who want to come and join me for the full-length feature, I'm gonna be up here in the corner here, checking it out with you, trying something a little bit different. We'll see how it goes. So we better get started. For Warhammer 40,000, the Adepta Sororitas. Now, the first few bits of this book, let me just... First off, I'm not a big fan of the artwork for the book, but, you know. Well, there we are. I like the ones that have their hood up and it's not bald, but, you know. To each his own. Even though I really like these new models that are coming up. Alright, now let's get past it though. We've got some... beautiful. So this, all the first part of the book is exploring the lore and the systems and whatnot about the Adepta Sororitas. Morven Vale is one of the new models coming out, so it talks about her and Celestine and Nathriel Stern, and what's currently going on in the sisters at the moment, and the different orders, the militant, which would be the battles of sisters, and as well I like the fact that there's like a larger portion here of the different major orders. So Order of our Martyred Lady, Order of the Valorous Heart. We've got 2 pages worth for each order, the history behind it and what they're all about. Order of the Bloody Rose, Order of the Ebon Chalice, and there's the artwork for the previous book right there. Order of the Argent Shroud, Order of the Sacred Rose, and then some of the smaller orders. Order of the Wounded Heart is like intense. And then we got the non-militant orders, like the Hospitallers, the Dialogus, and other non-militant orders. And Astrid Thurga, a new miniature in this book as well as her scribe, basically. A 2 mini combo we have in here, and all of the miniatures that you would find. And I'm going to bring this up closer when we actually get to the rules. I'm just scrolling through. And we also have our Paragon Warsuits, which come in groups of 3. 3 only. And they're expensive. We'll see now in a moment. Oh, and of course the new Castigator, which is quite the weapon. I like that one, alright. Now we get to the rules. Now this one is just describing which pages are on, which rules are on which pages. Here's the Combat Patrol. That'll soon be out. Combat Patrol, so we've got a Battle Sister Squad, a Canoness, 3 Arcoflagellants, 1 Penitent Engine. Yeah, it looks like a Penitent Engine. I guess you could also call it a Purifier if you wanted, since there's basically no difference except for points difference if they're both wielding flails and saws. Yeah, this one looks like a flamer, so that looks like a Penitent Engine. Probably has either or in there. Penitent Engine, it says, though. And it has a 4-man group of Repentia with the Repentia Superior, and a group of Seraphim or Seraphim with a Rhino. So that is a nice amount for one thing. I guess I think this is fantastic. I mean, I'm not a big one for the Rhino. Though you could... So rhinos can fit a 10-man group of sisters in it if you wanted to. You could scoot them up the battlefield. And the Canoness, since you're only allowed to have 1 Canoness in your game, it specifically says over here in a moment, you're only allowed to have 1 Canoness in the game, and more than 1 Combat Patrol isn't necessarily the way to go, which is interesting because they kind of made some of the other Combat Patrols more, You could have more than one of them, but this one is like you only can use one canoness. But of course, you could always turn her into other things with some of the other pieces. You're gonna have extra bits, so you could always turn her into something else. Bash her for something else, because you could always use a Hospitaller and a Dialogus and a couple other new miniatures. So using her bits is like quite possible, or you know, trading her away with for something else. Yeah. Now, here we are. So, quickly now, you can include a maximum of 1 canoness model and 1 missionary model in this detachment. You could always turn the canoness model into a missionary too. Yeah, they have similar abilities. You just want to be careful not to put anything canoness on her, like this rod. The Null Rod. Unfortunately, the Null Rod has gone down in power level and also costs 10 points now, by the way. But if you got rid of the Null Rod, it could be a missionary just fine. You cannot include more Cult Imperialist Priest units in this detachment than there are Adepta Sororitas character units. There's a bunch of character units for Adepta Sororitas, though, so that shouldn't be too difficult. Order Convictions. All Adepta Sororitas units with this ability and all models in them gain Order Convictions so long as every unit in the detachment is from an order from the same order. Yeah, we're going to get right to the Order Convictions now. All Order units in an Order's militant detachment will gain an Order Conviction. Sure. Yeah, Warlord's trait, Stratagems, and Relics of the Ecclesiarchy. It just says that if all of your stuff is in the same, if your army is Battleforged, like follow the rules for match play, you get all of this stuff. Now, our orders. I'm not going to go over what happened, what was previous, because it just takes too long. However, I will say that there's small changes everywhere. So if you think it's the same, just double check. Like the Order of the Martyred Lady is pretty much the exact same, so yeah. I'll read it to you. At the end of any phase other than the morale phase in which any units with this conviction were destroyed, you can gain 1 miracle dice. This is in addition to any miracle dice gained at the end of a phase in which a character unit with this conviction was destroyed. See Sacrifice, page 91. And that simply is like a unit was destroyed this round. That's it. So see Sacrifice number 91, no problem, it's just a unit was destroyed in 1 turn. Each time an attack is made, and when that happens, you gain 1 miracle dice. Each time an attack is made by a model with this conviction, if this unit is below its starting strength, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. So they rearranged the wording, but it's basically the exact same. The other ones are a bit more deviated a little bit from what they used to be. Honor the Martyrs, 1 command point. This stratagem is only for Martyred Lady people. Use the stratagem at the end of a phase in which an Order of our Martyred Lady character model from your army was destroyed by an enemy unit, excluding models that were destroyed and subsequently returned to the battlefield in that phase due to any rules. For example, the Divine Intervention stratagem. There's a stratagem that allows you to bring back models. Page 66. Until the end of the battle, each time an Order or of our Martyred Lady model makes an attack against the enemy unit, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. Yeah. Character destroyed until the end of the battle. Each time an Ardor model makes an attack, which an Ardor made a character from it is destroyed by an enemy unit. Until the end of the battle, each time an Order of our Martyred Lady model makes an attack against that enemy unit, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. Okay, so that's what it means. If an enemy unit destroys one of your Martyred Lady characters, everyone else gets angry against that unit. You add 1 to your wound rolls. Good. I'd totally use a command point for that to add 1 to the wound roll. I mean, I guess unless they're like a really easily killed unit, then I wouldn't bother, but if they were like a tough unit, totally use a command point to give +1 to the attack's wound rolls, because your sisters aren't going to be particularly strong, other than the heavy weapons, special weapons guys. Yeah. Warlord trait, Shield Bearer. Each time an attack is allocated to this warlord, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack to a minimum of 1. Oh, there it is. Each time an attack is allocated to this warlord, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of the attack to a minimum of 1. In the future, we're going to come across something that does not say a minimum of 1. It's going to be intense. Okay, each time you gain a miracle dice. At the end of a phase, as a result of vengeance, which is when you kill an enemy unit, if this warlord destroyed any enemy units during that phase, that miracle dice is automatically a 6. Right. So let's just skip to it because I'm going to talk about sacrifice and I'm going to talk about vengeance multiple times. So we're going to just skip to page 91 so we know what they're talking about. I'm not exactly certain why they rearranged it in this order. Like the crusade rules. I love you, crusade rules. I will absolutely go on a crusade with my sisters, but you're in the way. Crusade rules are in the way. It would have been nice if they were in a different place. Just saying, I had to skip by them an awful lot when I was reading through this the first time around. Okay, so we're just gonna read through Acts of Faith because it makes everything make much more sense. Okay, Acts of Faith. Once per phase, 1 unit from your army with this ability can perform 1 act of faith. Basically, everyone has acts of faith, other than some zealots. To do so, you will use miracle dice. Gaining miracle dice. If every unit from your army has the Adepta Sororitas keyword, excluding models from the Cult Imperialis, Agents of the Imperium, or Unaligned keywords, then at the start of each battle round, you gain 1 miracle dice. At the end of a phase in which any of the following conditions were met, you gain 1 miracle dice. So vengeance, any Adepta Sororitas units from your army destroy 1 or more enemy units. That's the vengeance that they were referring to earlier. Or sacrifice, any Adepta Sororitas character units from your army are destroyed. So each battle round, you gain a miracle dice. Each time your unit is destroyed, if it's a character, you gain a miracle dice. Each time you destroy a unit of an enemy by Adepta Sororitas, you gain a miracle dice. Okay? So you're going to have minimum 1. And there are other ways to gain miracle dice. Miracle dice are important, particularly if they're 6. If they're a 6, it's instant success. So they're important, and we want to pay attention to them as we're going through. Note that miracle dice can also be gained via other rules. Of course, no matter the source, you can only gain miracle dice from such a rule if every unit from your army has Adeptus Sororitas keyword, excluding models with Cult Imperialis, Agent of the Imperium, or Unaligned keyword. So basically, if all of your models are from this book and any other supplements that have to do with sisters, you're golden. You want to add a random knight? You're not. Unless they're unaligned, which they might be sometimes. Alright, each time you gain a miracle dice, roll 1d6. The number you roll is the value of that miracle dice. This value cannot be changed or re-rolled, unless the rule specifically states otherwise. Keep your miracle dice to one side. This is your miracle dice pool. Now, you can perform an act of faith before making a dice roll for a model or a unit from your army with the act of faith's ability. If you have 1 or more dice in your miracle dice pool, that unit can perform an act of faith. They have to have the act of faith ability on them, but most everyone does. Unless they're Imperial, Cult Imperialis. Okay, so basically all your sisters do, but non-sisters don't. We'll get to that. Okay. For each individual dice that is being rolled as part of the dice roll, you can select 1 miracle dice from your miracle dice pool to be substituted in place of that dice. The dice that is being substituted for is not rolled, and instead the value of the selected miracle dice is used as if it had been rolled. Each miracle dice can only be selected for substitution once, unless you have a stratagem, which is coming up, which allows you to do it for if you do it. If you use a miracle dice as a hit roll, you get to use a miracle dice as a wound roll. Somewhere it allows you to do it, so that's cool. Once all miracle dice substitutions have been made, remove the chosen miracle dice from your miracle dice pool and roll any remaining unsubstituted dice as part of the dice roll. You can use miracle dice when a unit performs an act of faith for any of the following types of dice roll. Now, it might seem, if it seems complicated, when you actually have it out on the battlefield, it's pretty straightforward. Just get yourself some bright, shiny dice so you don't forget that you have them, because they're powerful. Unless you get lots of ones. Then sorry. Poor luck. Advance roll, charge roll, hit roll, wound roll, saving throw, damage roll, morale test. That's where you can use them. You know where it says like shoot heavy d6 or assault d6. You can't use it for that. So instead you save your command points for that, because your command reroll stratagem that everyone has can do that. So that might be a way to save your command points and use your miracle dice on anything that like that is not that. A miracle dice is not a modifier or an inherently modified dice. Count it as an unmodified roll, I guess. A miracle dice that has been used for a substitution can never be re-rolled. We've already said that. This means that we don't need to see that. It's just repeating what it says, and there's a couple examples if you want to go through that. So now that we've read that, we're going to go back, because it feels like this should be known first, all the way to the front, so that you know what you're talking about. You're going to want to read through this book a couple times to understand everything that they're talking about. Okay, so again, each time you gain a miracle dice, so this is Warlord trait just happens for this Warlord. Each time you gain a miracle dice at the end of a phase as a result of vengeance, if this Warlord destroyed any enemy units during that phase, that miracle dice is automatically a 6, which is fantastic. Each time you gain a miracle dice at the end of a phase as a result of sacrifice, or if this Warlord was destroyed during that phase, that miracle dice is automatically a 6. This seems like you really want a powerful Warlord to do it. Now, generally you want your canonist to do it. Your canonist to be able to do it. So with that in mind, prepare your canonists to kill some guys. If you're going Martyred Lady, make certain you have a buffed up canonist, because you want those miracle dice. So keep that in mind. Relics, Martyr's Vengeance. Order of a Martyred Lady, model equipped with Infernal Pistol. Infernal Pistol is super nice. This is Martyr's Vengeance, is a souped up Infernal Pistol. I'm not going to go through all that, just it's a better weapon, so something to contemplate. Also, there's ways to, so your canonist could have it. That would be a nice way. It's only 12 inches. You want to get your canonist in there, but if you go ahead with your canonist to have an Infernal Pistol, or anyone to have an Infernal Pistol, it's 12 inches, but it's nasty. Okay, Order of the Valorous Heart. This one has changed. I'm not particularly keen on how it's changed, but there's ways to bring it back later on. Alright, each time a model with this conviction would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound. Mortal wound being the key. You know, psychers, for the most part, is where mortal wounds are going to be coming from. Psychers and auras that deal mortal wounds from those nasty Death Guard. Roll 1d6. On a 5+, that wound is not lost. Okay. Each time an attack is allocated to a model with this conviction, if that attack has an armor pen characteristic of -1 or -2, the armor pen characteristic of the attack is reduced by 1, which is always nice. So you got nasty armor pen. 1 command point, Blind Faith Stratagem. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase when an Order of the Valorous Heart unit from your army is selected to shoot, or in the fight phase when they're selected to fight. Until the end of that phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, you can ignore any or all hit roll, ballistic skill, and weapon skill modifiers. Behind Dense Cover gives hit rolls modifier, so you can ignore that, which is nice. Generally cover messes up your stuff like that. Until the end of it. Also, moving, assaulting, or moving when you're with heavy weapons. So that would be a nice way to just, for 1 command point, get all your guys in. 1 command point, remove the negative modifier, and have at it. Warlord trait, impervious to pain. Each time this warlord performs an act of faith, page 91, it regains 1 lost wound. That's nice. Each time this warlord would lose a wound, roll 1d6 on a 5+. That wound is not lost. Ah, so the warlord has both. It's a nice warlord. Tough. Relic, Casket of Penance. Order the Valorous Heart model only. The bearer has the following ability: Casket of Penance aura. While an enemy is within unit is within 3 inches of the bearer, subtract 1 from the toughness characteristic of models in that unit. If that unit is chaos, subtract 1 from its strength characteristic as well, which is very nice. It's a nice little thing. Subtracting toughness. So you would 3 inches. You want to get them on in. Get them on into combat. Put that thing on a melee person. Order the Bloody Rose. Okay. Each time a unit with this conviction fights, if it made a charge move, was charged, or performed a heroic intervention this turn, then until that fight is resolved, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of models in this unit. I think this is one that was completely changed, or I might be remembering wrong. But anyway, that seems nice. +1 to attacks. Yeah. Obviously, Order of the Bloody Rose, you're going to want lots of melee to really bring it out. So, thankfully, there's even better melee stuff now. I like the new melee sisters units with the shields. I think they're absolutely worth it. We're going to get to that. And they work in the Order of the Bloody Rose, and I bet they would look gorgeous in red. Alright, each time a model with this conviction makes a melee attack, if that model's unit made a charge move, was charged, or performed a heroic intervention this turn, improve the armor pen characteristic of the attack by 1. Cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Vicious. Maybe I'm gonna go red. I have so much to paint. And I kind of actually want to go more melee than I once did because of the new units, really. Because I like those shields. I don't know what's with it. I like those shields. I want to go. I want to tear everything apart in melee. Quick to anger. Is that gonna be me right now? I mean, before I wanted to go with Valorous Heart, where they're like more stoic, but now it's like blood, corn coming out. It's my corn coming out. I mean, no, I'm not a heretic. What are you talking about? Burn the heretics. Alright. Use this stratagem in the fight phase. When an Order of the Bloody Rose, 1 command point, unit from your army is selected to fight until the end of that phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, an unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target. Cool. I think I would go ahead with that too. Just grabbing by their +1 to attacks. Nice. So you got +1 to attacks already, so the 6 or more happening more. The armor pen will go right through, will help the saving throw. I think that's certainly worth doing. Yeah, I think that's certainly worth 1 command point to go ahead and tear them down. Warlord trait. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of this warlord. Cool. This warlord is eligible to charge in a turn in which it advanced. Nice. Hopefully you have a bunch of guys who can do that too. I can't remember many guys who can charge after they advanced. Have to check that out. You don't really want to have your warlord going in by itself. Only on the first time around, you can have your ladies go in, and then the warlord can join after. Yeah, might be alright. Alright, relic. Beneficence. Beneficence. Order of the Bloody Rose model equipped with a chainsword. Okay, so it improves the chainsword. Blip. Order of the Ebon Chalice. Daughters of the Emperor. That's how any of the models that I actually have are painted. Daughters of the Emperor. If any in your army have this conviction, when you are determining which sacred rites are active for your army after you have determined your mission, you cannot randomly select 2 sacred rites. Instead, after you have selected 1 sacred rite, you must then select a second. Both of these sacred rites are active for units from your army with this conviction. Only the first is active for other units from your army with the Sacred Rites ability. And most everyone has Sacred Rites ability. Yeah. Okay. Each time a model or unit with this conviction performs an act of faith, you can discard 1 miracle dice. If you do, so 1 miracle dice you use in that act of faith is considered to be a 6, irrespective of its actual value. Which is nice. Yeah, if you really needed to, and you had an extra low miracle dice, and you could turn, or you had like multiple low miracle dice, you can turn it into a 6 to discard one, one that would be useless. So it's handy. And the 2 sacred rites. Now we're gonna just go to the sacred rites, so that when they mention sacred rites, which is page 93, very much like that, it has page references. And we go to page, so when we chat about it in the future, we know what it is that we're referring to. So these are sacred rites, and generally it says at the beginning of the game, you choose one. Stop. Right, you choose one, and it happens for the rest of the game. But there are ways to make, like that order allows you to have 2. And there are units that allow to have all 6 going on. So keep that in mind when we get to them. Let's not lose my pace. Okay, so Sacred Rite possibility number 1. Hand of the Emperor. While the Sacred Rite is active, add 1 to the advance rolls and charge rolls made for this unit. Right, and they had the Sacred Rites before, and some of them are like the same, but some of them are different. So we'll just take them. All right. By the way, in case you're not the case. Yeah. After the players have determined their mission, you must select 1 sacred rite. So you do get a bit of an idea of which one would be better for the situation that you're in, which is always nice. Okay. So first one, add 1 to advance rolls and charge rolls made for this unit. Of course, one would be choosing that one, perhaps, if you had a lot of melee going on. Spirit of the Martyr. While the Sacred Rite is active, each time a model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack and does not explode, and it's a model. Roll 1d6 on a 6. After the attacking model's unit has finished making its attacks, it suffers 1 mortal wound. I do like that. I might use that one if I was doing like lots of model and melee attacks. Like I like that +1 to advance rolls and charge rolls, of course. But I also like the fact that on a d6 they take 1 mortal wound. Kind of like might get them a little bit nervous in combat, and that's what I want my opponent to be. Mind is always nervous, and if they're nervous, well then you might mess up. And yeah, that's good for me. Nervous about being in combat with me, you might make mistakes. And yeah, let's go with that. Aegis of the Emperor. While the Sacred Rite is active, each time this unit uses its Shield of Faith ability to take a Deny the Witch test, if the result of that test was an unmodified result of 5+, or if it was greater than the result of the Psychic test, that Deny the Witch test is passed. Okay, so the Shield of Faith ability, I remember it offhand, so I don't need to go to it. Most everyone has the Shields of Faith ability. It is a 6+ invuln save, and 6+ invulnerable save, and you can roll whenever someone is doing a, well, I guess we'll just go to it. Whenever someone is doing a psychic test, you can roll 1d6, not 2d6, you can roll 1d6, and if that if the result of that test was an unmodified 6, or if it was greater than the result of the psychic test, that Deny the Witch test is passed. And yeah, there's in your opponent's psychic phase, this unit can attempt to deny 1 psychic power as if it were a psyker. Okay. Now this one improves it. Where did you go? Yeah. This one improves it, so an unmodified result of 5+, or if it is greater than the psychic test, denied the witch test is passed, so just helps against psychers a little bit, which is always nice. And you already know who you're facing, so you know whether that would be relevant or not. Like if you're facing Grey Knights, for example, which have psychers, well, everyone is a psyker. So if you want to be denying all that smite that they're going to be doing, you got a better chance there. Divine Guidance. While the Sacred Rite is active, each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack on an unmodified wound roll of 6, the armor pen characteristic of that attack is improved by 1. So if you're having lots of shooting going on, that'd be the one to take. The Passion. While the Sacred Rite is active, each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit. I kind of like that one too. Oh my gosh. Unmodified hit roll of 6 scoring an additional hit. Could get really good. So in that way, it'd be pretty handy for the Order of the Ebon Chalice because they choose 2. Each time, yeah, and most everyone has the, if any of your units have this conviction, said you have selected 1. Both of these sacred rites are active for units from your army with this conviction, which is, you know, everyone who is Order of the Ebon Chalice. Should be mostly everyone in your group. So you have 2 of these options for them, which could be really handy. Light of the Emperor. While the Sacred Rite is active, you can ignore any or all modifiers to this unit's leadership characteristic. You can, if you wish. And each time a combat attrition test is taken for this unit, you can ignore any or all modifiers. So you're more likely to lose only 1 man in failed morale. Woman in failed morale tests. I don't know whether you want to do that necessarily because it goes against your miracle dice, getting miracle dice from units being lost. But maybe. Maybe. It's there. It's an option. Right. Back to that. Okay. Cleansing Flames Command Point. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when an Order of the Ebon Chalice unit from your army is selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, add 4 to the range of all flame weapons, which is always nice. Most every single flame weapon is 12 inches, so adding 16 inches. That model in that unit is equipped with. Yeah, and since a lot of them are assault, you could probably get in a lot of the time. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack with a flame weapon on an unmodified wound roll of 4+, the target suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to any normal damage. To a maximum of 3 mortal wounds can be inflicted per phase by this stratagem, which is actually quite nice. Unmodified wound roll of 4+, that's 50% of the time whenever you're rolling wounds. So up to 3 for 1 command point. You know, particularly against someone like a 5 wound character, could finish them off. I like it. I like that it's a possibility. Warlord trait, Terrible Knowledge. If this warlord is on the battlefield, the miracle dice you gain at the start of the first battle round is automatically 6. So first battle round, 6 automatically. While this warlord is on the battlefield, each time you spend a command point to use a stratagem, you can roll 1d6 on a 5+, that command point is refunded. It's nice. There's a lot of different things you could use command points in, like Cleansing Flames, for example. So I like that. A Terrible Knowledge. Alright, because it's Ebon Chalice. Yeah, makes sense. Love it, like the lore. Relic, Annunciation of the Creed. Order of the Ebon Chalice model equipped with the Condemner Bolt Gun only. It replaces the Condemner Bolt Gun with the following profile, so, you know, it just improves that. Condemner Bolt Gun. I'm not going to go over what exactly it does. Order of the Argent Shroud. Deeds, not words. Each time a unit with this conviction makes a normal move or advances in your movement phase until the end of the shooting phase, it counts as having remained stationary. I think that's definitely an improvement for what it used to do. Yeah, so normal move or advances in your movement phase until the end of your shooting phase, it counts as having remained stationary. I used to be more like you could shoot even though you advanced. This is better because since it counts as remaining stationary, if you're moving with a whole bunch of heavy weapons, they don't have that -1 to hit. So, oh, and of course, if you advanced, I think that was what it was. Anyway, if you advanced, you also don't have a -1 to hit, because you act like you remained stationary. So if you advance with assault weapons, I like this better. I would consider this an improvement. You let me know if you disagree because you play Order of the Argent Shroud and are sad for some reason. Each time a unit with this conviction is selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll 1 hit roll or 1 wound roll when resolving that unit's attack. So, it's always nice little bonus, particularly since you have, miracle dice to improve something else. Like if it's really important to use a miracle dice to make certain your hit roll hits, and then you get to reroll a wound roll if it didn't turn out so well. Alright. Faith is our shield. 1 command point. Use the stratagem in any phase when an Order of the Argent Shroud model from your army would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound. Until the end of that phase, each time that model or any other model in its unit would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound, roll 1d6 on a 4+, that wound is not lost. And it's directly in response to losing mortal wounds. And that's d6 4+, that's half the time the wound is not lost for 1 command point. If you like they were a really important unit, I'd totally use 1 command point to save them. I think that's a great little stratagem. Warlord trait, Selfless Heroism. This warlord is eligible to perform a heroic intervention if it is within 6 inches and 5 inches vertically of any enemy unit instead of 3 or 5 vertically. So it just extends the heroic intervention when it activates and how far they can move to 6 inches instead of 3 inches. At the start of the fight phase, if this warlord is within engagement range of any enemy units, it can fight first that phase. Nice and powerful. So of course you'd want to choose a warlord that will get into melee, otherwise it's kind of silly. Relic, Quicksilver Veil. If you chose that warlord trait, of course. Relic, Quicksilver Veil. Order of the Argent Shroud model only. Add 3 inches to the bearer's move characteristic. Each time an attack is made against the bearer, subtract 1 from that attack's hit roll. So making you go in faster and giving you some protection when you get there. Okay, Order of the Sacred Rose. Devout Serenity. Each time a combat attrition test is taken for a unit with this conviction, it is automatically passed, which, as I said before when we were reading it earlier, when they revealed it, that is nice. You're only ever going to lose 1 guy in a failed morale test. That's alright. Yeah. Only ever losing 1 guy is cool. Each time you use a miracle dice when a model or unit with this conviction performs an active phase, roll on a d6 on a 4+, you gain 1 miracle dice. That's half the time you're getting back your miracle dice. Nice! Maybe I should go Order of the Sacred Rose. But then you're not getting miracle dice. Okay, I see how they would need it though. Instead of losing your guys and losing your characters and gaining miracle dice, you don't lose anyone and you get miracle dice anyway. I could see that being cool. What else do we got here? The Emperor's Judgment. 1 command point. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase. When an Order of the Sacred Rose unit from your army is selected to shoot until the end of the phase, each time an attack is made with a ranged weapon by a model in that unit, an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit. Alright. Always good. Warlord trait, Light of the Divine. Once per turn, when this warlord performs an act of faith, one miracle dice used in that act of faith is considered to be a 6. Good. This warlord has the following ability: Light of the Divine Aura. While a friendly Order of the Sacred Rose core unit is within 6 inches of this warlord, if that core unit falls back, then it is still eligible to shoot this turn, which is very, very nice. If you're not using if you're using like really powerful weapons, it would be pretty cool to not get stuck in combat. As long as you're near your warlord. So important guys, put your warlord next to you. Important shooters, put warlord next to you. Yeah. This definitely seems to move more focused towards shooting. So like the Bloody Rose was all melee. Yes. Go in, fight. While Order of the Sacred Rose is definitely more better designed for someone who wants to play lots of ranged. Relic, Light of Saint Agnetha. Order of the Sacred Rose, a model with a brazier of holy fire only. Light of Saint Agnetha, 12 inches, assault d6. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, that attack automatically hits the target on an unmodified wound roll of 4+ or 2+ against demons. The target suffers 1 mortal wound in attack sequence. Unmodified wound roll half the time. Sorry. Sure. Alright, Minorous Convictions. So these are all the different various convictions where you can create your own order. And then there's one where it's basically you choose one of the orders that we just read through, but you are now able to color it in whatever fashion that you want. It just allows you to do that under the rules. Alright, order, Minorous Convictions. Shield of Avert. Let's just go through this super quickly and see if there's anything that you might want to do of your own order. Shield of Aversion. Each time an attack with an armor pen characteristic of -1 is allocated to a model with this conviction, that attack has an armor pen characteristic of 0 instead. Nice. Hallowed Martyrs. Each time an attack is made by a model with this conviction, if that model's unit is below its starting strength, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. So that was like the Martyred Lady one, and now you can have it and choose something else to go with it. A Conviction of Faith. If every unit from your army that has an order conviction has this conviction, each time you gain miracle dice. If the value of that dice is 1, you can re-roll, which is always good. Yeah, always good re-rolling 1 miracle dice, because it's really not very useful if like miracle dice is of 1, unless you're gonna discard them for some reason. It's never gonna be handy. Just cast in the shadow, you darn thing. Ooh. No. Okay, guess that works. Okay, Devout Fanaticism. Each time a unit with this conviction fights, if it made a charged move, was charged or performed a heroic intervention this turn, then until that fight is resolved, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. You cannot select this if you've already selected the Holy Wrath, which is up there. Each time a model with this conviction makes melee attack, if the model's unit made a charge move or was charged, you improve the armor pen by 1. And you can't do that one. Okay, so you can't add 2 attacks and improve the armor pen. Sure. Guided by the Empire. Between armor pen and attacks, I think I'd go with the attacks. Defending. Extra attacks. Armor pen -1. You know, depending. I'd have to think about it. Depends on the models that I use. The weapons that I use. Guided by the Emperor's Will. Each time a unit with this conviction is selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll 1 hit roll or 1 wound roll when resolving that unit's attacks. I mean, sure. And the Footsteps of Saints, I already mentioned. Perfivid Belief. Each time a model or unit with this conviction performs an act of faith, you can discard 1 miracle dice. If you do so, 1 miracle dice you use in the act of faith is considered to be a 6, irrespective of its actual value, which is nice. Which you choose, perfivid belief or conviction of faith? I think I would go with the perfivid belief over the reroll more miracle dice of 1. You could always get another one, but this one, where the 1 would be useless anyway, you just discard the 1 and it has a 6. But that depends on how many miracle dice you can get yourself every turn. So, depends, I guess. You can always change it up when you realize it doesn't work for you. Purifying recitations. Recitations, yeah. Each time a denier witch test is taken for a unit with this conviction, add 3 to the result. This is not cumulative with any other rule that adds to the result of a deny the witch test. Remember, you had to have a 6+ always gets it, or if you beat the roll. So if you get like a 5, normally you wouldn't beat it unless they failed. Basically, 5 would normally get it, but with this one, a 5 would equal an 8, so you'd succeed on a modified 6 or 7. If I'm saying that correctly. Anyway, it's good. It's good. Would I want that? Depends on how many psychers you get around. There's a few psychers. There are a few psychers. So, maybe. Raging Fervor. Each time a model with this conviction makes an attack with a melta weapon, the target of that attack is considered to be within half range for the purposes of that weapon's ability. If that weapon has the pistol or assault type, that weapon has the heavy type, and the target unit is within 18 inches of the firing model. I might go. You cannot select this conviction if you've already selected Rites of Fire, which is below, or Unshakable Vengeance, which is over there. So I do like that one because of Retributors. Would I go Heavy Bolters or Multi-Meltas? If I was going Multi-Meltas, I'd definitely like that if I did like lots of them. That'd be nice with, I think it's Retributors. With the Multi-Meltas, where you just choose 4 Multi-Meltas. Now, Rites of Fire. You cannot take with that. Add 4 to the range of all flame weapons that models with this conviction are equipped with. You cannot select this conviction if you have already selected either the Raging Fervor or Unshakable Vengeance convictions. I mean, alright, maybe. Righteous Offering. Alright, we'll just go to the Unshakable Vengeance. Each time a model with this conviction makes an attack with a bolt weapon, you can ignore any or all hit roll ballistic skill modifiers. You cannot select this if you chose either of the other ones. Rites of Fire. I already did one. Righteous Suffering. Each time an attack is made against a unit with this conviction, an unmodified wound roll of 1 to 2 for that attack fails, irrespective of any abilities that weapon or the model making the attack may have had. So no 2+ for guys that have a lot more strength than your toughness, which is gonna be happening because a lot of these guys only have a toughness of 3. So no 2+. You have to have 3+ or more. I don't know whether I go with that. I don't know whether I'd go with that or not. Feels like there might be other ones. I feel like I'd probably choose one of the more aggressive ones than that one. Slayer of Heretics. Each time a model with the conviction makes an attack against a character unit, add 1 to that attack's hit roll. Yeah, maybe. Unbridled Valor. Each time a combat attrition test is taken for a unit with this conviction, add 1 to that combat attrition test. That seems a little weak. Gotta say, seems a little weak. Witch Hunters. Each time a model with this conviction makes a melee attack against a Psyker unit. Reroll a hit roll of 1. Reroll a hit roll of 1. Reroll hit rolls of 1. Don't know why I said it like that, but reroll hit rolls of 1. If the melee attack is made against a Psyker character unit, reroll a hit roll of 1 and wound roll of 1. Ooh, chancer of my way. I like that. I think I would do that. I don't know which ones I would choose. I think I might go Bloody Rose, because I read through all of the stuff and I like how I might go lots of melee with, you know, big tanks. Maybe some Retributors with multi-guns. Multi-melters. Maybe. Could have heavy bolters because they're 36-inch range. Up in the air yet. Cleansed by Fire. 2 command points. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase when Adeptus Ministorum unit, which is basically everyone, from your army is chosen to shoot with until the end of that phase. When a model in that unit shoots with a flame weapon, do not roll to determine the number of attacks made with that weapon. Instead, the maximum number of attacks are made with that weapon, which is a nice bonus to anyone who wants to focus on a lot of flames, like that +4 range of flames, something like that. I don't know whether it's worth 2 command points or not. I guess it depends on how many flamers you've got. 2 command points. Though it would do a lot of extra damage. Could certainly do a lot of extra damage. Maybe. Embodied Prophecy. 2 command points. Use the stratagem. In your fight phase, select one Seraphim squad from your army. Until the end of that phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. It's always nice to improve wound rolls, since their strength is just not that great. Though I think the Seraphim might have better strength. Can't remember. Exceptional Proficiency. 1 command point. Use the stratagem in the shooting phase. When a Celestian unit from your army is selected to shoot, or in the fight phase when a Celestian unit from your army is selected to fight. And now there are Celestian squads, but there is also the Celestian Sacrosanct. I think it's Sacrosanct, which are the melee ones with the shields. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. Like it. I would absolutely use this command, this stratagem, because I'm going to be using Celestians. That is, I was looking at it, I'm using Celestians. It's happening. So, yeah, that would be one for me to remember. Exceptional Proficiency. Got it. Extremis Trigger Word. 1 command point. Use the stratagem in the fight phase when an Arco-Flagellance unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of that phase, change the ability of all Arco-Flails models in that unit equipped with the following. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, make 3 hit rolls instead of 1. At the end of the phase, roll 1d6 for each model in that unit. For each one model in that unit is destroyed. So normally it's 2 hit rolls instead of 1. Now it's 3 hit rolls instead of 1. That would be a reason to choose Arco-Flails. Oh wait, no, all of them have Arco-Flails anyway. I was thinking of something else. And yeah, I see it being worth chancing losing all your guys for 1 command point to do lots of damage. I mean, they're Arco-Flagellants. They should be fodder. Dangerous fodder. Suffer Not, though which 1 command point. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase when Adeptus Ministorum unit from your army is selected to shoot, or in the fight phase, selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack against a Psyker unit, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. Or if it's a character, add 1 to the attack's hit roll and wound roll. Always nice. Don't see why you wouldn't ever use that. If you're going against Psyker, just 1 command point. Add 1 to the attacks. Psyker character, add 1 to attacks and wound roll. Yeah, I'd be doing it. Divine Intervention, 2 command points. Use this stratagem when an Adeptus Sororitas character model, excluding named characters, important, from your army is destroyed. Instead of using any of the rules that are triggered when a model is destroyed, so sacrifice does not go off, it means, or the Chaplet of Sacrifice relic does not go off. Discard 1 to 3 miracle dice. At the end of the phase, set that model back up on the battlefield as close as possible to where it was destroyed and not within engagement range of any enemy models. The model is returned to play with a number of wounds equal to the number of miracle dice you discarded. You cannot use this stratagem if you do not have any miracle dice remaining. You can only use this once per battle. It's lovely. Lovely. One to remember. Fiery Oratory. Yeah, everyone becomes Celestine. Also, I like Celestine. Celestine's one unit now. Her Gemini and herself are now back to one unit instead of two separate units that are, yeah, that's weird. Back to one unit. Anyway, Fiery Oratory, 1 command point. Use this stratagem at the start of any of your phases other than your command phase. Select 1 Adeptus Ministorum Priest model from your army that has not intoned a hymn this turn. That model can intone one hymn that it knows that has not already been intoned by a friendly model this turn. That hymn is automatically inspiring, do not roll, and takes effect until the start of your next command phase, which is lovely, like when it becomes really important to get that hymn off 1 command point. Do it. Like it. Definitely enjoy that. Okay, Martyr's Immolation. 1 command point. Use this stratagem in any phase when an immolator model from your army that is equipped with yeah, never mind. It's Immolator Explode. If it was destroyed if it has Immolation Flamer's Mind, which you should probably use. You can automatically destroy it. So Immolator, you can automatically destroy it if you have their flamers. 1 command point. Use the stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Select 1 Hospitaller unit from your army and then select 1 Adeptus Ministorum Core Infantry unit that is not at its starting strength and is within 3 inches of that Hospitaller unit up to D3 of the selected friendly unit's destroyed models are returned to its unit with their full wounds remaining. So I like that because normally you could just heal back wounds. With this command point, with this command ability, you can return slain models. Oh, Hospitallers. Hospitallers are 50 points. Worth it. Worth it. Okay. Martyred. 1 command point. Use the stratagem when you gain a miracle dice due to sacrifice. Sacrifice is one of your character dice. You gain 1 additional miracle dice if the model that was destroyed was an Adepta Sororitas Warlord from your army. You instead gain D3 plus 1 additional miracle dice. Nice. I mean, if you can't bring them back, why not? For 1 command point, switch over to some miracle dice. Miracle dice are nice. I'd use it. Moment of Grace. Use this stratagem after making a hit roll or wound roll for an attack made by an Adepta Sororitas model from your army, or after making a saving throw for an Adepta Sororitas model from your army. Discard 1 to 2 miracle dice from your miracle dice pool. Add 1 to the result of the roll for each miracle dice you discarded. You cannot use this stratagem if you do not have any miracle dice remaining. Add 1 to the result of the roll. Okay, I getcha. So it's, yeah, I getcha. After making a hit roll or wound roll for an attack made. Okay, yeah, so if you got low miracle dice, ones that would normally be worthless, yeah, you could add 1 or 2 by discarding them to the roll. It's good, yeah, a way to keep those miracle dice useful even if you get really unlucky for 1 command point. Good. Suffering and Sacrifice. 1 command point. Use this stratagem in the fight phase. Select 1 Adepta Sororitas Warlord or Saint Potentia or Living Saint unit from your army, excluding vehicle units. Until the end of the phase, that unit is known as your Suffering unit. Until the end of the phase, each time a unit is selected, an enemy unit is selected to fight. If a model in that enemy unit is within engagement range of your Suffering unit, when your opponent is selected to target for its attacks, those attacks only target your Suffering unit. So you pull in your enemy towards this one unit that you choose for them to fight, which is super handy. You want to keep your Canoness, Warlord, Saint Potentia, or Living Saint. So you could just have them keep targeting Celestine and keep everyone else safe, and Celestine just regains lost wounds every turn. Suffering and sacrifice. Alright, open the reliquaries. 1 command point. Use a stratagem before the battle. Yes. Yeah, okay. Use a stratagem before the battle. Give someone a relic. A character a relic. Or you can use a stratagem twice if it's a strike force, so 3 times if it's onslaught. Okay, so give someone a relic. Sacred Burden, 1 command point. Select 1 Adepta Sororitas model, excluding character models in your army that has the word superior in their profile. Give them a relic. They can gain Blessings of Sebastian Thor, the Ecclesiarchy Fury, Litanies of Faith, or Redemption. Those are the relics available to the superiors. Could be really handy for 1 command point, or less than 1. Somewhere it's less than 1. I don't remember where it is, but somewhere it makes one of these, the open of the reliquaries, free. Someone does it. I can't remember who it is, but free relic sounds fun. Saint of the Making, make someone else a warlord, so they get a warlord trait. Always handy. Oh my gosh, that's a lot. We're still doing pretty good. Angelic Ascent, 1 command point. Use a stratagem at the start of your movement phase. Select 1 Adeptus Sororitas jump pack unit from your army. Remove this unit from the battlefield. In the reinforcement steps of your next movement phase, you can set this unit back up on the battlefield anymore more than 9 inches away from the enemy models. It's destroyed if you end the battle with it not on the battlefield. So, you know, at the start of your movement phase, and at the end of the movement phase, you bring it back more than 9 inches away. Good way to get them out of combat if you don't want them, or put them in a better spot. Yeah, it's good. And with the flamers being 12 inches, you can flame down on people after your movement. Nice. Battle Rites, 1 command point. Use this stratagem at the start of the battle round if your warlord has the Adepta Sororitas keyword and is on the battlefield. Roll 1d6 to randomly generate a sacred rite. Roll again if the result is a sacred rite you already have, active. Then you can select 1 sacred rite that is currently active for your army and replace it with the result you just rolled. You can use this stratagem only once. I mean, sure. I mean, you could. If you find it's entirely a terrible idea, you could chance to get another one. I don't know whether I'd try that or not. I mean, maybe. Deadly Descent, 1 command point. Use a stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Select a Seraphim squad from your army that is set up in reinforcements. This unit can shoot as if it were your shooting phase. Ooh. Nasty. Hold on. Do reinforcements not normally be able to shoot? I thought they could. That is so nasty. Shooting twice. Yeah, do it. I'd use it. Yep. Defenders of the Faith, 2 command points. Use this stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Now I want Seraphim. But then I always wanted Seraphim. Okay. Celestian, Sacrificance, Seraphim. Canonist, of course. Hospitaller. Those are my 4 definitions. And a Castigator. 5 definites. That's what I'm going with so far. Okay. Defenders of the Faith. 2 command points. Use the stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Select 1 Battle Sister squad within range of an objective marker until the start of your next movement phase. Instead of following the normal rules for rapid-fire weapons, models in this unit shoot rapid-fire bolt weapons, make double the number of attacks. Okay. For the purposes of the stratagem, a rapid-fire bolt weapon is any bolt weapon. Yes. Each time an attack is made against this unit, an unmodified wound roll of 1 to 3 for that attack fails, irrespective of any abilities that that weapon or the model making the attack may have. This is at the end of your movement phase. So lots of fire. Instead of following the normal rules. So you're definitely getting your rapid fire. And each time an attack is made against this unit, unmodified wound roll of 1 to 3 fails. It's on at the end of your movement phase until the start of your next movement phase. Okay. Defenders of the Faith, yeah. 2 command points. Yeah, why not? Objective markers are important. Why not? Sure. Desperate for Redemption. 2 command points. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Sister's Repentia unit from your army is targeted by a melee attack. You were gonna dead. So dead. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if that model has not fought this phase, do not remove it. They get a free attack. Yes, they get a free attack. Cool. That just definitely happens. Use in the fight phase is targeted by a melee attack. Is destroyed, they get to fight. Cool. The destroyed model can fight after the attacking model finishes its attack. After doing so, yeah, why not? 2 command points though. Maybe, you know, it's nice to have it in a situation where it really matters. Maybe. Okay, Devastating Refrain, 2 command points. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase. When an Exorcist model from your army is selected to shoot, until the end of the phase, that model's Exorcist missile launcher or Exorcist conflagration rockets can target units that are not visible to the bearer. Sure. 2 command points. I mean, sure. Exorcists, by the way, are 150 points now. Gone down 15 points, but gone down in strength, toughness, and armor penetration. Unfortunately. Okay, Holy Rage. 1 command point, 2 command points. Use this stratagem at the start of your charge phase. Select 1 Adeptus Core unit from your army until the start of your next command phase. That unit gains either the Zealot ability or the Fanatic ability, as shown below. Zealot. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, if that unit was charged, or performed heroic intervention this turn, you can reroll the attack's hit roll. Definitely like the Zealot ability. Cool. Why would it be? If the unit is within 6 inches of a priest, it costs 1 or 2 command points. If not, okay, so it makes it your priest is close by, and they are better at being zealots. Either this or fanatic, this unit is eligible to declare a charge in a turn which it fell back. Nice. That could be really useful. There's a lot of things get so much better when they can charge into it. And also now with the new rules, where if it's your turn, the other person gets to fight first. There's a good chance that you want to fall back and charge in so that you are fighting first. So this is very techy. Very techy. For 2 command points, it could certainly be worth it. And if you got a priest, which really you should have a priest around your core units if possible, particularly since they don't take up a slot for the most part. If you've got someone special, yeah, I'd totally use this ability. Suits with my stuff too, being all melee. All right, so much to think about. That is good, and I'd use it with 2 command points. Preferably have an Adeptus, Minister, and Priest. There's like 4 or 5 different priests that you could choose from, so something for everyone. Really nice. Yeah, I'd use it. Absolutely. Purity of Faith, 1 command point. Use this stratagem in your opponent's psychic phase after a psychic test is passed for an enemy psyker unit and after any deny the witch attempt is made. If that enemy psyker is within 24 inches of any Adepta Sororitas units from your army, roll d6 and a 4+ that psychic power is denied. Hold on a sec. Half the time that psychic power is denied, if your opponent after a psychic test is passed for an enemy psyker, and after any deny the witch tests, if any, were made, if the enemy psyker is within 24 inches of any Adepta Sororitas units from your army, roll 1d6 on a 4+ that psychic power is denied. That is cool. Last chance. You could just throw everything into denying it. It's like, didn't work. Alright, use a command point. 4+, 50% of the time, it's denied. Okay. Cool. Faith and Fury. I read this one in the reveal. 1 command point, use the stratagem after an Adepta Sororitas unit from your army has performed an act of faith for an attack's hit roll. You can reuse the same miracle dice for the attack's wound roll. This does not count as having performed another act of faith. Nice. It is always nice. You use a 6, and then you use a 6. Basically auto hit, particularly if you have nice AP. So worth it. 1 command point, final redemption. I guess, you know, against a powerful thing. With a powerful weapon, I should say. Final redemption. 1 command point. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when an engine of redemption unit from your army is targeted by a melee attack. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack, roll on 1d6 on a 4+ that after the attacking model's unit has finished making its attacks. It suffers d3 mortal wounds. Do they explode? Can't remember. Do they explode? Because that would be a nasty additional thing. There's a vehicle. Remember. Oh yeah. Saxons. More suits. Pentia. Seraphim. Dominion. Never gone past it. Mortifiers. Vehicle. Do you have explodes? No, you don't have explodes. Oh. No explodes. This would be a way for them to basically explode. On a 4+, after the attack's model's unit has finished, it suffers d3 mortal wounds. 4+, half the time. 1 command point. Could try it. If you have a whole bunch of extra command points. Don't know whether you would, because there's lots of things that you could use your command points for, like a command reroll. It's always handy. Maybe. Judgment of the Faithful, 1 command point. Use this stratagem in your movement phase when an Adepta Sororitas core unit from your army falls back. That unit is still eligible to shoot this turn even though it fell back. So yeah, would totally do that if I'm stuck in combat. And it's my turn. You fall back. For 1 command point, worth it. Righteous Impact, 1 command point. Use the stratagem in your charge phase when a Paragon Warsuit, and the Paragon Warsuits are expensive, or an Engine of Redemption unit from your army finishes a charge move. Select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of your unit and roll 1d6 for each model in your unit that is within engagement range of that enemy unit. So the Engine of Redemption is like 1 to 4, and the Paragon Warsuits are 3. So 1 to 4d6 or 3d6. For each dice result that equals or exceeds that enemy unit's toughness characteristic, it suffers 1 mortal wounds. For each unmodified roll of 6, the enemy instead suffers d3 mortal wounds. Okay. You know, depending. Just choose based on their toughness. Characteristic. Maybe. Maybe not, though. Blessed Bolt for 1 command point. I don't know. Feels like I could use it for something else. Maybe. Blessed Bolt, 1 command point. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when an Adepta Sororitas unit from your army is selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack is made with an Artificer crafted Storm Bolter by a model in that unit on an unmodified hit roll of 6. The target suffers 2 wounds and the attack sequence ends. To a maximum of 6 wounds. Sure. Yeah, I can see that being... If you're attacking something that's really... You really need to get that kill for 1 command point. If you kill something with 1 command point, it's a command point well used, I think. Holy smokescreen. Right, so they changed it so that instead of having to spend your entire shooting phase shooting a smoke launcher, which I don't know whether anyone did anyway, they now have it that you can spend a command point to use a smoke screen for anything that has a smoke screen in their keywords now, which I think is just the 2 different tanks, the Exorcist and the Castigator. I think just have the smoke screen. Use a stratagem with a smoke screen guy, and until the end of the phase, each time an attack is made against that unit, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. So in their shooting phase, you can have -1 to their attack's hit roll against something which has a smoke screen in the keyword, which is the tanks, basically. The Exorcist and the Castigator, I think. Which is nice. Keep your tanks alive for 1 command point. Really mess up your guys. I'm good for that. Holy Trinity, 1 command point. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase. When a Adepta Sororitas unit from your army is selected to shoot, select 1 eligible target for that unit that is within range and of and visible to at least 1 model in that unit equipped with a bolt weapon, 1 model that is equipped with a flame weapon, and 1 model that is equipped with a metal weapon. The Trinity, right? Until the end of the phase, models in that unit can only make attacks that target that enemy unit. But each time such an attack is made with a bolt weapon, flame weapon, or multi-weapon, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. I mean, that's always nice. Yeah. A reason to specifically make certain someone has a flame, someone has a melta, and someone has a bolt. Pretty specific, of course. But you could work around it. You could try and make it happen for 1 command point. Inviolate Shield Wall. Ooh. 1 command point. Oh, I read this one. Use this stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Select 1 Celestian Sacrosancts or Crusaders unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack is made against the unit, subtract 1 from the attack's wound roll. Yeah. I'd probably go ahead with that. The Sacrosanct's strength is pretty good, but if you want to fight against something with high toughness, I'd say that would be worthwhile. And the Celestian Sacrosancts, yeah, I think their strength is 4, something like that. Crusaders, I don't think I'd be using Crusaders. They're really nice models, and they basically look a lot like the Celestian Sacrosancts, but I'd be using the Celestian Sacrosancts rather than the Crusaders. Is it because the Crusaders are not plastic? Maybe. Pretty certain they're not plastic. Pretty certain they're... Yeah. You should update the Crusaders to plastic models, because they'd be super nice in Dungeons & Dragons too. Thrice Blessed Hull. 1 command point. Use this stratagem at the start of your opponent's psychic phase. Select 1 hallowed model from your army until the end of the phase. That model gains the following ability. Thrice Blessed Hull. While an enemy psychic unit is within 12 inches of this model, each time a psychic test is taken for that unit and that test is failed, that psychic unit suffers Perils of the Warp. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds fun. That's a mess up. Just scoop myself over here. I'm within 12 inches of you. Start of your opponent's psychic phase. Just scoop myself over. Hi. You're gonna try and manifest a power, are you? I'm hallowed, did you know that? What command point? It messed them up. It messed up their thought processes, totally. They're totally like, oh no, he did a thrice past hole, 1 command point. Maybe I won't cast anything. Oh, but it would be bad if I didn't cast anything. But if I do cast something, I will possibly do Perils of the Warp. And if I do Perils of the Warp, how many times? A psychic phase. So it's after they like moved into position. Or did not move into position. Thrice Blessed Hull. How many times are you going to be able to surprise someone with the Thrice Blessed Hull? Oh yeah, this guy's hallowed. And... sounds fun. Okay. That's all for this video. Stop in this video. Check out the next video as soon as it's available. It'll be in the description below. And that will be later on today. Alright? Catch you in the next one. Bye!